Good day, I am Les Roy Williams, the Director General of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service. Today we present to you with the 2021 year in review. 2021 has been a challenging year, just like 2020. Of course, the most challenging thing has been the COVID-19 pandemic experienced here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the effects of the pandemic on our social life, our economic life, and our emotional life, our psychological life. However, we are at the end of another year, and there is always hope. We remember the 28 persons who lost their lives due to the COVID-19 virus. As we move forward into another year, we want to highlight some of the activities of the government for the past year. The Lodge Otlis Community Center opened in February this year and will provide new opportunities for the people of the area. It will provide growth for the people, according to Minister of Community Development, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton voiced these words at the launch of the new community center on February 16, 2021, and said that the residents of the Lodge and Otlis communities and all who will benefit from using the facility, that while the work is superb, it is just the foundation of the overall scheme of community development in the area.
What will truly make this structure incredible is what happens every day from today. Yes. Whose life will be enhanced? Is it the teacher or mentor who will save a child from going down the wrong road, bring him here or her for some development? Or is it the child who is inclined to deviance, who has been rescued by someone in this community and who will in the end become a strong pillar in the society?
Minister Hamilton said that he and his staff have committed themselves to a bottom-up, community-driven approach to community development. Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Laws, said that choosing to take the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is choosing to protect yourself and making a choice to protect the people of the Federation. Dr. Laws explained this during her presentation at the National Emergency Operations Center COVID-19 press briefing on February 17th at the National Emergency Management Agency. Dr. Laws in the presentation revealed her decision to receive the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine to the Federation. She explained the reason for her assuredness in taking the vaccine, saying that the vaccine minimizes her risk of becoming severely ill or dying.
If you were given a choice of, you will be given a choice of receiving or choosing to receive the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. So that's one choice you will be given. Or be exposed to the COVID-19 virus. Which would you choose? I have chosen to take the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. Why? If I were to contract the disease, one of 5 things can happen to me. I can recover without any symptoms, or I may develop mild symptoms, maybe a cough, runny nose, stuffiness, and then recover. I can become moderately ill and recover. I can become severely ill, even end up on the ventilator, or I can die. Now, if I opt to take the AstraZeneca vaccine, the scientists and the clinical data assures me that it protects I'll be protected from severe disease and death from COVID. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to choose the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine.
The agriculture sector in St. Kitts is expected to be improved based on the new vision outlined by the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister of Agriculture. Minister Jeffers made these remarks at the ministry's annual review and agenda 2021 meeting, which was held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort.
Vision sets out to enhance the agricultural sector so as to increase production of food, to improve food security, nutrition and health of our populace. It also seeks to stimulate greater economic growth in the agricultural sector through the development of a well-coordinated planning and implementation framework that is interactive and effective and involves the full participation of all stakeholders and which promotes income generation and poverty alleviation.
The meeting was held under the patronage of His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis, and was held under the theme, Together we invest, transform, and build partnerships for sustainable agriculture and food security. 3 bills aimed at strengthening the judicial process in St. Kitts and Nevis were approved by the Federal Parliament and successfully passed on Thursday, March 4, 2021. These bills include the Magistrates' Code of Procedure Amendment Bill 2021, which is a bill to amend the Magistrates' Code of Procedures Act, Cap 3.17, the Criminal Procedures Amendment Bill 2021, a bill to amend the Criminal Procedure Act, Cap 4.06, and the Jury Amendment Bill 2021, a bill to amend the Jury Act, Cap 3.15. According to Attorney General Byron, the Magistrates' Code of Procedure Amendment Bill 2021 seeks to confer jurisdiction on the Chief Justice to make criminal procedure rules for the Magistrates' Court. The Criminal Procedures Amendment Bill 2021 seeks to confer jurisdiction on the Chief Justice to make procedural rules under the Criminal Procedure Act, Cap 4.06. And the Jury Amendment Bill 2021 seeks to provide for alternate jurors.
They're all meant to lay the foundation, the framework for the introduction of criminal procedure rules into the St. Kitts and Nevis jurisdiction of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. They are very important, relatively seemingly simple, but they're important.
March 8, 5 women were recognized for their contribution to the development of the Federation. These women included Janelle Williams for entrepreneurship and innovation, Dale Kelly for community outreach, Michelle Christmas Jacobs for communication, Eunice Brown for health care, and Chalisa Rollins, who was the Prime Minister's awardee. International Women's Day this year was celebrated under the theme, Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. Speaking at the ceremony, Honorable Eugene Hamilton, Minister with responsibility for social development and gender affairs, said that the team honors women and girls for their efforts in shaping an equitable future and also honors them for their push to help the world recover from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Women, perhaps even more so than men, are standing in the forefront of the crisis as healthcare workers, caregivers, community organizers, and among other things, as innovators. My ministry, and indeed the entire government of St. Kitts and Nevis, we are proud of the women and girls in our federation, and especially now, of those who are putting the needs of this country ahead of their own.
Chanel Charles, Senior Gender Officer, also made remarks at the ceremony, said that the team is also aligned with the priority theme of the 65th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, which speaks to women's full and effective participation and decision-making in public life, as well as the elimination of violence for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. Appearing on the virtual forum, Leadership Matters, on March 9, 2021, Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, highlighted the significant role that women play in leading the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Minister Byron Nisbet said that all women should have a future that is sustainable, peaceful, and with equal rights and opportunities for all.
While we recognize the women in leadership across the world on International Women's Day, we must also remember the women in our own communities that are achieving an equal future here in St. Kitts and Nevis, some of whom are sitting here this evening. Our Chief Medical Officer is a woman. Our Head of Finance, our Financial Secretary, is a woman. Our Cabinet Secretary is a woman. Our nurses, our frontline workers, our carers, all these occupations are made up predominantly of women.
She said that every day, amazing work is being done by powerful women across St. Kitts and Nevis and within her own constituency, number 3, from opening new businesses to leading the communities. The minister stated that while the Federation has made a start on making a more equal society where everybody has the opportunity to succeed, there is still much more to be done. Lillian Chatterjee, High Commissioner of Canada to St. Kitts and Nevis, presented her letter of introduction to Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris virtually during a brief but significant ceremony on March 10, 2021.
St. Kitts and Nevis and Canada share a history of friendship that is strong and abiding. Our two countries enjoy warm relations based on close people-to-people ties, and we share the distinction of both being colonized by the British and the French. As a community of nations, we must look to build back better, building in more resilience into the international financial system and more justice and equity for small island states. The crisis has exposed the fragility of global value chains and inequity of market access, including access to essential goods like PPE and lately, vaccines. We must tackle these challenges as friends, partners, and neighbors. Speaking on the negative impact of COVID-19 globally, the High Commissioner said that Canada will stand with St. Kitts and Nevis and CARICOM in fighting the pandemic. Officials are hoping that St. Kitts and Nevis can become the next hotspot in film production, following positive reviews from overseas producers. Filming of a comedy movie, 1 Year Off, began in St. Kitts, while a studio and separate camera crew worked on episodes of the reality television show Below Deck. Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, attended a media briefing by MSR Production at Christophe Harbour
and said that St. Kitts and Nevis has much to offer.
You will be inspired by our natural beauty and excited by the potential these attributes represent as you discover what we are today and what we can be tomorrow. You will be surrounded by the remnants of over 500 years of our rich history, from the UNESCO World Heritage Site at the Brimstone Hill Fortress and the former sugar plantation of the Romney Manor. Flash forward to today. You will see a modern infrastructure behind our Caribbean of 50 years ago. A world-class airport capable of landing the largest jets from North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Our daily service by FedEx, our KN Jet luxury FBO service that services the private jet community. A paved road system surrounding the island, and a cruise port that can simultaneously accommodate two of the largest ships in the world, two of the Oasis-class vessels.
Government officials worked to ensure the transfer of skills and knowledge to locals from international producers and others involved in the production of below deck and 1 year off.
We have been engaging those producers that are here to see how they can assist us with developing our own film industry here in St. Kitts and Nevis. With the help of the Tourism Authority, we have made those connections with the producers of both MSR as well as Below Deck to see how we can not only use it as an aid for tourism, but also how that in turn would be able to help us to develop this new industry that we are intending to build out here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And the feedback so far have been very good, and we're looking forward to our further discussions with them.
Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet is the minister responsible for entertainment and talent development. Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, Dr. Timothy Antoine, welcomed the Bank of Nevis to the Premier League during a ceremony on Tuesday, April 6, 2021, to mark the opening of its first branch on the island of St. Kitts. The branch opened following the recent acquisition of assets and liabilities owned by the Royal Bank of Canada, St. Kitts.
As far as I'm concerned, any bank in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union that has assets in excess of $1 billion is in the Premier League of banks in the ECCU. With this acquisition, Bank of Nevis has more than tripled its asset size, moving from just over 500 million to just over 1.7 billion.
Workers employed through the Skills Training Empowerment Program, STEP, who have difficulty accessing loans from commercial financial institutions, received a lifeline from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis. On May 19, 2021, on Working for You, a call to the program cited that workers on the Temporary Job Attachment Program frequently faced challenges when applying for loans at the bank. Many were told that they are ineligible for a loan as their employment is not permanent. Operations Manager at the Development Bank, Jasmine Irish, said that that is not the case at the Development Bank. Ms. Irish indicated that the STEP workers are required to go through the same assessment as anyone applying for a loan. This includes meeting with a loan officer to factor in the total amount requested, sources of income, expenses, and other related considerations.
There's not a cap, and so I don't know. That information is just inaccurate.
It's just the income ratio that we
we look at based on, and we lend based on the affordability. We do lend to step workers.
Kitts and Nevis entered the stage of COVID-19 community spread. Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, noted that health authorities fully expected community spread at some point during the pandemic. Officials were well prepared to tackle this new development.
I want to assure the general public that our healthcare system is robust based on the investments that we have made in it, and it stands ready to combat any significant number of COVID-19 cases. We are hopeful that our system will not become overwhelmed, as we know the majority will do the right thing and get vaccinated.
10 members of the security forces from St. Kitts and Nevis were sent to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to support recovery efforts in the neighboring country following the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano in early April. The men, drawn from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and the St. Kitts and Nevis Defence Force, operated as part of a peacekeeping mission undertaken by the regional security system. Several senior security officials, including Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, and Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hilroy Brandy, wished the men well when they departed the Federation. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, said that he was very satisfied with the vendor relocation initiative on the island of St. Kitts during his virtual forum series, Leadership Matters, on June 15th.
Yesterday, I took the personal interest in visiting the market to see how things were going there and to speak to a number of the vendors. I was very satisfied by what I saw there. There are the usual hiccups in getting started on the short notice, but persons were settling in. And I am advised that a number of the vendors who previously were on the street have already signed up for their place in the market.
Superintendent of Police, Cromwell Henry, gave his explanation for the relocation of the vendors, saying that it is a measure to reduce the type of mingling that we see on the streets of Bastille.
The relocation of the vendors is a measure to reduce the type of mingling that we see on the streets of Bastille. And so we thought that if we put it in a more centralized, put them in a more centralized area, we'll have better control. I would not consider the market as a enclosed space, so to speak. It is very well ventilated. It is very much open. And so it is not considered indoors, as we know indoors to be. And so there is better control there, where we have persons who are assigned specific stalls. So we have the names, we know who are assigned there. Their names taken as persons would enter. So we have a measure there for contact tracing. And we have reduced numbers of Bastille. Because of the restriction of movement, we do not have the type of crowds that we will see in Bastille on a daily basis. So there are reduced number of persons. So there's not an overcrowding, so to speak, in the market. So there's better control there at the public market, and so should something go wrong, we have a better opportunity for contact tracing as opposed to having persons haphazardly spread throughout the streets of Bastille.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis implemented another round of income support for residents who became redundant in March 2020 and remained unemployed as a result of the global COVID-19 pandemic. The 2021 Income Support Program was announced by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, during his monthly press conference on July 8. He indicated that 15 million have been allocated to the program to alleviate hardships on persons who are still unemployed since the first wave of the deadly novel coronavirus last year.
So far, my government has paid out $4.6 million to over 2,000 successful applicants. A third tranche of payments will be made later in September. To ensure the largest number of persons or applicants benefit, any claim initially disapproved will go through a second round of vetting to ensure that no deserving applicant is denied. This is the hallmark of a caring and compassionate government and testament to our efforts to ensure that no one is left behind. Checks will be processed monthly until every qualified applicant receives his or her payments, a maximum possible of 3 tranches.
The Income Support Program was one in a series of sweeping economic relief measures to assist workers and self-employed individuals, as well as small, medium, and large corporations. Cruise tourism returned in St. Kitts and Nevis when the Seabourn Odyssey anchored at South Friars Bay, bringing 111 fully vaccinated passengers. The visit broke the 18-month absence of cruise vessels to St. Kitts as a result of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, welcomed the step as a positive sign of economic recovery. Street vending in St. Kitts was better organized and structured. As the government continues to create more opportunities to streamline the activity and boost the prospect of vendors while enhancing the look and feel of Basseterre. Many micro-business owners or vendors, the majority selling agricultural produce, are now operating from the Basseterre public market, which is centralized and offers a safer environment for all buyers and sellers. Additionally, food trucks now operate from a new location on North Independence Square Street. Other areas around the island have also been identified for community marketing activities, decentralizing vending from the nation's capital. Austin J. Farrier, chair of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Street Vending, said that the reorganization will uplift the informal business sector.
Some people out there right now are in survival mode because of COVID, and they're new to the informal sector. And so they basically don't understand the rules. There are rules in both sectors, you know. There are rules in the formal sector and there are rules in the informal sector. And if you don't know the rules in the informal sector, you're basically not going to be able to navigate it properly. All we are asking on the committee is that if you want to do anything, seek help. Ask for help, basically. There's more than enough support. Mr. Brown is here on the panel to tell you about that support. I can direct you to 2 persons that can support you. Any civil servant, know who is there to support you. It only comes if you seek authorization, seek certification, ask a question, seek help.
Young people in St. Kitts and Nevis are strongly encouraged to undertake extracurricular activities such as joining a debate team, performing social work, participating in sports, gaining an internship, and partaking in the performing arts, as they are extremely useful for persons seeking an advantage in a competitive, scholastic, or professional field. Scores of students at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College who enrolled in the Supporting Advancement of Further Education SAFE initiative have gained experience in extracurricular activities through the volunteer corps. Each person is required to complete 4 hours of community service every month.
Extracurricular activities are also important when it comes to university applications, because universities also look at that in determining which, especially in competitive programs, when they're determining which students they're going to accept, they look at extracurricular activities because of the Leeward Islands debating competition. And so, from my experience of dealing with that club, I can tell you that the students actually developed networks so that, 5 years later, they will be telling you somebody said hello and it's some debater from Antigua from 5 years previously, but they've maintained that relationship.
A bill to validate the Land Registry Act number 10 of 2017 and to give retroactive effect to the provisions of the Act, otherwise known as the Land Registry Validation Bill 2021, was passed in the Federal Parliament on Thursday, August 5th. Mover of the bill, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister responsible for Justice and Legal Affairs, Senator Vincent Byron Jr., said that the bill will seek to provide for the Land Registry Act to come into operation on August 9, 2021, and it would also validate any action taken or done by the government prior to the coming into force of the said Act. He noted that in the past, land registration, land management, and the land transfer system were handled directly by the High Court Registry. However, all that changed in 2017 when a dedicated land registry was established in St. Kitts and Nevis.
I rise, with your leave, to have the bill shortly entitled the Land Registry Act Validation Bill 2021 read a second time. This bill, Mr. Speaker, will seek to provide for the Land Registry Act to come into operation on the 9th day of August 2021, and it would also validate any action taken or done by the government prior to the coming into force of the said Act. Mr. Speaker, we will propose an amendment at committee stage to Section 3 of the bill. Consequently, Section 3 will now read as follows: Commencement and validation of Act. The Act shall come into operation on the 9th day of August 2021, and any action taken or done by the government in relation to its enactment prior to the coming into force of the Act is hereby validated and declared to have been lawfully taken or done from 13th November 2017.
With the arrival of the first batch of 11,700 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, children over the age of 12 years old can now be vaccinated against the deadly virus. Minister of Education, the Honorable John L. Powell, during his remarks at the virtual opening ceremony for the 2021-2022 school year, urged all persons to support the vaccination efforts by the government to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus.
We now have a vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, that can be administered to students 12 years and older. Our students, mainly at the secondary and tertiary levels, now have the opportunity to protect themselves against the coronavirus. I urge all students not to miss this opportunity to be vaccinated. Shortly, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health will partner to roll out the administration of this vaccine. This will involve informational and sensitization sessions with teachers and parents.
St. Kitts and Nevis' new ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Mr. Justin Hawley, on 30th August 2021, presented his credentials to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai in Abu Dhabi. Ambassador Hawley's distinguished career in the Foreign Service has transcended Foreign Service Officer, Senior Foreign Service Officer, and Counselor. He also served a stint at the headquarters of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States in St. Lucia. In his most recent role, Ambassador Hawley served as Consul General of St. Kitts and Nevis Consulate in Dubai, and with its upgrade to the full embassy, has now been promoted to ambassador. The St. Kitts Electricity Company, SCELEC, in its continued efforts to uplift and be in service to the people of the Federation, has given aid to the elderly and primary school children. In a handing over ceremony from SCELEC to the Ministry of Social Development on September 3rd at the St. Peter's Community Center, Minister of Social Development, Honorable Eugene Hamilton, said,
The Ministry of Social Development and the government is therefore extremely grateful and delighted for this generous donation by SCELEC. SCELEC has exhibited corporate social responsibility at its finest, even in such an economically debilitating time that we face as a result of the pandemic. The management and indeed the staff of SCELEC must therefore be highly commended. Commended for their intuitive decision to give back to our community.
8 distinguished citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis who were announced on New Year's Day by Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris for their contribution to nation building were officially invested with Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II New Year's honors on Thursday, August 18th at Government House. The awards included the Companion of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, which was awarded to Cabinet Secretary Mrs. Josephine Huggins for her contribution to public service. Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE, was awarded to Her Honor Mrs. Hyleta Lieberd, M.H., Deputy Governor General for Nevis, for her input to public service, as well as to Athil Rollins for his involvement in public service and land surveying. The Queen's Police Medal, QPM, was awarded to the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hilroy Brandy, for his role for policing and leadership. The member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, MBE, was awarded to Mrs. Vinetta Laws for her participation in community service and business entrepreneurship. Mr. Colin D.A. Tyrrell for community service, Dr. Leroy Ernest Richardson for his role in medicine, and Dr. Naldo Bailey for his contribution to financial services. Prime Minister Harris congratulated the honorees, noting that they served the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis well. The CGM is the 6th most senior in the British honours system. It is awarded to persons who have rendered important services to the Commonwealth of foreign nations. The OBE is bestowed upon an individual for playing a major role in any worthy activity, and the MBE is bestowed upon an individual for hands-on service that has yielded significant community impact, while the QPM is bestowed to an officer of any rank for acts of courage and conspicuous devotion to duty.
These honors also serve, in my view, as a powerful example for others in our community that we can hope for a better future. And any one of us has the power to make that future happen.
8 exemplary nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis were invested with the Medal of Honor, having been chosen for the 2020 National Honors Awards for their exceptional contribution to nation building at an investiture ceremony held by His Excellency the Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, on Tuesday, August 17, 2021 at Government House. The Medal of Honor was awarded to Miss Pearline Teresa Mussenden for her contribution in education, Joseph Emmanuel Benders for his involvement in the arts, Dr. A. Linton Liebert for his role in medicine, Mrs. Patricia Mary Nurse Clark, and Charles Delvin McMaster for their participation in community service, Mrs. Pamela Elaine Brooks, nursing, and Dr. Judy Nisbet and Brian Dyer for national service in crisis. Dr. Linton Liebert was unable to attend the ceremony. However, he received his medal from Her Honor, Mrs. Hyleta Liebert, Deputy Governor General for Nevis, at a separate ceremony. Prime Minister Harris said that the awardees are deserving of such honor, as they have shown that service should be embraced and not avoided.
The 8 outstanding nationals that have been invested with the 2020 Medal of Honor by His Excellency the Governor General are all each deserving, and I ask that you give all 8 of them another round of applause. The Medal of Honor is one of the 2 highest civilian honors that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis bestows on its sons and daughters. We present these medals to honor those who go above and beyond their call of duty. This Medal of Honor is an acknowledgement that the recipient truly has put country above self. Today's recipients have more than demonstrated this virtue. They are deserving of the honor, and they are deserving of our gratitude.
The honorees were awarded in keeping with the National Honors Act, number 19 of 96. The National Honors Act provides for the Companion of the Star of Merit, the Medal of Honor, and the Order of National Hero to be awarded to any citizen of St. Christopher and Nevis who renders distinguished and outstanding service to the nation. Mr. Imani Samuel, a third form student of the Virchilds High School, was announced the winner of this year's Independence 38 team competition, making it 2 consecutive years that a high school student won the competition. The winning team, Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38, was selected by the Federal Cabinet from 150 submissions. The criteria for the team selection stated that the team must be concise, memorable, a phrase, a clause, or a short sentence of no more than 6 to 8 words, focusing on national wellness and economic rejuvenation. An internal rhyme scheme and a pattern of rhyme also enhanced the theme. During a telephone interview with Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Education, William V. Hodge, young Imani Samuel expressed jubilation at being selected the winner of the competition. P.S. Hodge congratulated Mr. Samuel and indicated that the Ministry of Education will contact him regarding his prize. During another ceremony held at National Heroes Park in observance of National Heroes Day on Thursday, September 16th, 13 unsung heroes were honored for their contribution to nation building. The Governor General, His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seton, approved the following national recipients of Honours Award, which is consistent with the National Honours Act. The National Honours Act established a trio of merit-based awards, which includes the Medal of Honor, the Companion of the Star of Merit, and the Order of National Hero. This year's recipients of the Companion of the Star of Merit include Uriel Sinclair Swanston for Social and Economic Development of Nevis, Howard Noel McQuekran for Business Entrepreneurship, Ernest Charles Ashton Amry, MBE, for Business Entrepreneurship and Philanthropy, Franklin R.O. Brandt for Business Stewardship and Community Activism, Ralph Lionel Gums for Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and Lorna Althea Calendar for Education and Journalism. The Medal of Honor went to Robilly Gertrude Jean and Annika Pitt Hazel for Nursing, Elizabeth Collins Woodley for Nursing and Community Service, Helena Macy Stapleton for Entrepreneurship in the area of market vending, Isilma Telmadre Springer and Palsy Lorna Wilking for Education, and Ingrid Charles Gums for Education and Community Service. During his commemorative message, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, issued a clarion call to all citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis at home and abroad to be true heroes to the Twin Island Federation.
To succeed in the Herculean task of nation building, we need commitment to start, but perseverance to finish. Challenges may seem insurmountable, but we must remember and know in our hearts of hearts that heroism, true heroism, is not the absence of fear or even failure. Heroism is finding the courage to do what is needed when needed most. In spite of the fears and the doubting Thomases, it involves restarting, recommitting, and trying again after failure. It is getting up one more time after being knocked down, because a person, a family, a team, a community, indeed a country, depends on your standing at that time and in that particular moment. Heroes rise from hardship. Heroes rise from calamity. Heroes rise in spite of any threat to progress and safety. So let us be the heroes that our country of St. Kitts and Nevis needs today.
Dr. Harris was at the time delivering remarks at the annual National Heroes Day ceremony at the National Heroes Park to honor the invaluable sacrifice and contributions to nation building by 5 outstanding sons of the soil, namely the late Right Excellencies Sir Robert L. Bradshaw, Sir C.A. Paul Southwell, Sir Joseph N. France, and Sir Simeon Daniel, as well as the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Sir Kennedy A. Simmons, the only living national hero. Scores of citizens assembled at the El Comida T. Willett Park in Nevis on Sunday, September 19th, to give thanks to God for His grace and mercy on St. Kitts and Nevis for the past 38 years and prayed for continued blessings. The occasion was the state service of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving in celebration of the 30th anniversary of independence. The Independence State Service was attended by Deputy Governor General for Nevis, Her Excellency Hyleta Liburd, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, and other members of the Federal Cabinet, members of the Federal Parliament, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and other members of the Nevis Island Administration, representatives of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, and other invited guests. The theme for this year's Independence celebration was Adapt, Diversify, Recreate, Independence 38. In his official address marking the occasion, St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, noted that the Twin Island Federation has much to be grateful for.
We made tremendous leaps in public health, education, infrastructure, economic transition, trade and international relations, human rights, sports, and culture. We are constantly being rated among the best in the region across so many international developmental indices. Literacy rate, per capita income, rule of law, debt to GDP ratios, ICT indicators, transparency and good governance are some examples of areas in which we have been leading our peers.
The Prime Minister made reference to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has ravaged lives and economies around the world. He noted that the people of the Twin Island Federation are resilient and must continue to adapt to jumpstart the economy. One important subsector mentioned was cruise tourism, which welcomed just over 1,100 passengers on the Celebrity Equinox to Port Zante on September 14th.
This return of the cruise vessel to our shores signals a restart. It is evidence of adaptation and recreation. The longest journey begins with one step. We have succeeded in taking that first step in rebuilding our cruise industry and advancing it to even greater heights. The length of that journey surely depends not just on how diligently we work, but how diligently we work together.
24 apartments at Wellington Road were distributed on September 17th by the National Housing Corporation. The apartment complex was funded via a joint project with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Minister of Human Settlement, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, said that the completion of the project stands as another example of the government's commitment to empower individuals, improve the standard of living, and distribute homes across the country so that as many persons as possible can have their own piece of the rock.
These 24 units here that are being given out today, they are unique. Man, when you go in it, you feel like you want to come out. But you know what? These are not the only ones we're going to give out this year, you know. We're going to also give out 18 in Stapleton and 16 in Conyers later this year. And that is not because we got any money, you know, because COVID restricting all the money, but this team unity administration mean not even that going to hold it back. Not even that going to make poor people can't get a place to put their head.
have a middle income program. Cabinet knows about it too. It's coming just now. 4 or 5 places in the country, middle income homes for you. 1,500 and up, all the way up to 2,500. But when you move in, you're in $1 million home. That's coming as well. I'm saying that as the Minister of Housing, that housing is going to be built not only for ordinary people, but those in the middle income as well. You see, those people who just come back from university and have a graduate salary, and NHC can't build for them, and yet the bank giving them trouble because they have some loan from their education to pay. We'll find a way to find housing for those people as well.
Minister Hamilton said that the government was also prepared to launch a new initiative targeting middle-income earners. The health and safety COVID-19 protocols implemented for the Caribbean Premier League 2020 tournament proved to be very effective, as no cluster cases were traced back to the event. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, Medical Chief of Staff at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, made the statement as he addressed media at the Prime Minister's monthly press conference held on Tuesday, September 28, 2021. He described the August 26th to September 15th CPL as a success.
The CPL was very successful. The patrons who were there, they were vaccinated. And I think that the tiny island of St. Kitts and Nevis demonstrated to the world how we can have mass events in the new norm. And of the cluster of cases that we've been having and through our contact tracing, there has been no link to the CPL. And so I believe that that event was carried out quite successfully, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all the persons who were involved in making that a success.
Preliminary figures on the economic impact of the Caribbean Premier League 2020 tournament provided a glimpse of the value of hosting the 2021 International Cricket exclusively in St. Kitts and Nevis. At a sitting of the National Assembly on Thursday, September 30, 2021, Minister of Sports, the Honorable Jonelle Powell, highlighted 2 areas where the positive impact of the August 26th to September 15th CPL T20 tournament was already confirmed.
Those games brought tremendous financial and other benefits to the people of this country at a very difficult time as we battle this pandemic. An official audit is being done of the games, and a more detailed report will be brought, and I will report on the tremendous benefits that our people would have gained at a later date when that report is made available. I think it is important to also note, Mr. Speaker, that just this week, the Medical Chief of Staff of the JNF Hospital, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, would have indicated that there is no link between the hosting of CPL and the current COVID-19 cases here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think this is an important fact, and it shows that St. Kitts and Nevis is able to host major events and large gatherings in a safe way, as we did with CPL, allowing only vaccinated persons, patrons and workers to attend. This is testament of this government's ability to forge forward in the face of a global pandemic to the benefit of our people.
The Ministry of Health invested heavily to ensure that the Federation's healthcare system was resilient against the impact of the deadly COVID-19 disease. Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, during her presentation to the Federal Parliament on September 30th, 2021 stated that although there has been a slight backlog in the processing of results, regional assistance was secured to assist with the processing so that results could be delivered in a more timely and efficient manner.
I wish to take this opportunity to apologize to the general public for the delay in results. And I want to assure you that the ministry is in the process of having these backlogs cleared expeditiously. We have sought regional assistance with the clearing of this backlog and are hoping to have this cleared over the next few days. I am also happy to report that our JNF laboratory have been given the revalidation and will now be processing samples relative to COVID-19. This revalidation of the JNF will add an additional capacity of between 120 to 140 samples being processed per day. As you would have been made aware at the recent PM conference, the CMO would have indicated that our lab capacity, as it is right now, we have the next generation lab, which is able to process between 150 to 300 samples. The Avalon lab, which is able to process 20 to 40 samples per day. And the QDL lab, which is able to process 8 to 12 samples per day. However, we've been informed by QDL that their capacity will also be increasing shortly. This therefore suggests that our current capacity at the Joseph and with our current capacity at the Joseph in France back online, and with the addition of the other labs that are currently processing COVID-19 samples, it means that in St. Kitts and Nevis, we currently have a capacity to be able to run 298 to about 492 samples per day.
The Minister of Health also stated that private laboratories, namely the Next Generation Lab, Avalon, and QDL Lab, have been conducting COVID-19 testing and processing samples over the past 20 months. The revalidation of JNF adds an additional capacity of 120 to 140 samples being processed per day, which coupled with the private labs, which would allow for up to 492 samples to be processed each day. Members of the sporting fraternity and community residents from Virchiles and the surrounding communities joined with government officials and the families of St. Clair, Monty Samuel, and Vincent Williams to celebrate the renaming of the community playing field as the Samuel Williams Sports Complex. The renaming officially took place at a ceremony held at the facility on Saturday, September 18, 2021. The ceremony served a dual purpose as outdoor spotlights were also commissioned. Member of Parliament for St. Christopher No. 4, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, attended the ceremony and noted the importance of recognizing outstanding contributions by persons within the society.
For me, this is very important because when a community or a society sees it fit to pay tribute to its residents and its citizens, this sends a clear and unmistakable message that people count and what we do in the service of others matters.
Minister of Sports, the Honourable John L. Powell, highlighted that sports development remains a priority for the government given the many benefits that it offers.
Sport matters. It is essential to our physical and mental health. It defines us. It entertains us. It brings us together. It builds a sense of community, a sense of belonging. It fosters inclusion, a resilience from being a part of a team, a participant, or even a spectator. It is important to my ministry and me personally as a minister responsible at both the professional and the grassroots level. On that premise, the Ministry of Sport is excited to be continuing its national initiative of upgrading all sporting facilities on St. Kitts. An initiative that is not just about providing better sporting facilities, it is about building stronger, healthier communities by promoting physical activity, social connection, and economic vitality.
Dr. Mark Williams, Director of the Department of Marine Resources, said that St. Kitts and Nevis is committed to growing the aquaculture sector, as it will serve as an extremely important method for improving food and nutrition security. He made this statement during his appearance on the September 15th edition of Working for You, where he touched on the amount of fish produced locally as opposed to what is imported. Dr. Williams said that St. Kitts and Nevis is importing 2/3 of the fish that we consume and only producing 1/3.
What we want to engage here in St. Kitts and Nevis is in the natural form of aquaculture. But you see, Dr. Brown is doing at Connery, he's doing tilapia, but tilapia on a subsistence basis. We want to be able to do tilapia and other species using 100% seawater on a more commercial scale. From 1995 down to 2020, we see fluctuations in the marine captured species year in and year out. And the only way that we see that we could eliminate some of this variability in the landings is through aquaculture. It gives the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis almost guaranteed expectation of fish that can be produced within a given period of time.
He also said that aquaculture isn't new to St. Kitts and Nevis, and recalled the introduction of the shrimp farm in Connery in the 1980s, followed later by a tilapia farm. Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, said that the donation of 2 field hospitals by the United States Southern Command, SOUTHCOM, is very timely and important to maintaining quality health care in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The receipt of these field hospitals is very timely and very important to the Ministries of Health and people of St. Kitts and Nevis who access the healthcare services, because such an additional resource to our healthcare sector ensures that there is adequate space capacity in response to the emergency needs of our citizens and residents at the national level. Having recognized the versatile and comfortable infrastructure of the field hospitals, we can now be assured of an effective space and capability to manage victims of disaster and other emergencies. In an era when we are all confronted with the challenges of COVID-19 globally and nationally, an added 40-bed field hospital will most certainly augment our capacity and is expected to provide an opportunity to relieve some of the burden on the existing public health facilities. Hence, the field hospital will serve as an adjunct structure which meets hospital standards.
Diplomatic relations between the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China, Taiwan, have over the years helped many persons to achieve tertiary education. Officials from the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China, Taiwan, addressed the September 29, 2021 scholarship ceremony and encouraged the 17 students who received scholarships to make the most of the opportunity presented to them.
Education and human resources are the cornerstone for national development, and over the years, it has been our great pleasure to provide scholarship opportunities to support the bright minds and talented youngsters of St. Kitts and Nevis in their pursuit of academic degrees in Taiwan. This year, a total of 17 students are awarded the Taiwan scholarships. Among them, 11 students received the Ministry of Foreign Affairs MOFA scholarship, and 6 students are awarded International Cooperation and Development Fund, Taiwan ICDF scholarship. Of the 17 students, 15 will be studying for their bachelor's degree, and 2 of them will pursue doctorate. The various disciplines of their studies, including electrical engineering, automotive engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, international health, global health and health security, life science, international business, mass communication, hospitality, and film studies. They also exemplify Taiwan's staunch support in the Federation's sustainable investment in the young talents that will enhance the overall human resources of St. Kitts and Nevis. I believe that upon completing their academic degree study in Taiwan, the students will come back and dedicate themselves with the knowledge and the skills they learned to the development of your great country. I would like to encourage our scholarship awardees to make the best of your time in Taiwan, to not only keep enrich yourself in your academic pursuit, deepening your understanding of Taiwan's academic environment, but also spend some time to experience the culture, the food, and the scenic beauty of Taiwan. It's my sincere hope that you will make many lifelong friends during your stay in Taiwan, and that time you spend there would be a great memory that you will always cherish in your life.
The scholarship benefits include airfare, housing, tuition fees, insurance, textbooks, and monthly allowances. Students were required to spend a full year learning the native language of Taiwan, which will greatly assist in their overall personal development. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has paid out some $4.6 million that have benefited more than 2,000 applicants who qualified for assistance under the Income Support Program introduced in July of this year. The program aided persons who remained unemployed or who have suffered the loss of income since March 2020 as a direct consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. At his press conference on September 28th, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, noted that monies were distributed in 2 tranches to successful candidates. Each qualified applicant received up to $1,000 per month. Prime Minister Harris said that payment of a 3rd tranche would have been made in October 2021.
So far, my government has paid out $4.6 million to over 2,000 successful applicants. A 3rd tranche of payments will be made later in September. To ensure the largest number of persons or applicants benefit, any claim initially disapproved will go through a 2nd round of vetting to ensure that no deserving applicant is denied. This is the hallmark of a caring and compassionate government and testament to our efforts to ensure that no one is left behind. Checks will be processed monthly until every qualified applicant receives his or her payments a maximum possible of 3 tranches. Payments will cease once the applicant is restored to employment.
The $10 million stimulus package in the agricultural sector given by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis is bearing fruit. On Tuesday, October 19th, on Leadership Matters, Acting Director of the Department of Agriculture, Dr. Tracy Challenger, highlighted improvements in agriculture production recorded this year.
If you go in the Salinas Valley, where they do a lot of Mediterranean climate and things like that, you can have people, plowing for a mile and miles and so forth, and then an next tractor coming the other way and so forth. So export is tricky business, but production, we have to look at our size economies. But you see, with situations like that, we used to, for example, the Four Seasons and the Nevis Ministry of Agriculture had a project. It was called the Nevis model, where we identify a number of things. When you speak to people like that, freshness has a price. So you are not just talking about a tomato. A tomato that comes from California to St. Kitts Nevis and so forth into our tourist industry, unless it's flown in on a Mary jet and so forth, it would have left that farm a very long time ago.
The added investment was made in response to the COVID-19 pandemic that has negatively impacted economies around the world. The pandemic has also created shipping delays for consumer goods that have resulted in disruptions to the global supply chains. St. Kitts and Nevis was represented at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP26, that took place in Glasgow, Scotland. The delegation was headed by Minister of Environment, the Honourable Eric Evelyn, who used the occasion to launch the Federation's National Determined Contribution and Implementation Plan. The NDC is a report that highlights St. Kitts and Nevis's commitment to reduce greenhouse gases and adapt to climate change, while the implementation plan translates the actions outlined in the NDC into real-time initiatives. Minister Evelyn said that small island developing states are passionate about their presentations at COP26, as tackling climate change for many is literally a life and death issue for their populations.
As a small island developing state, St. Kitts and Nevis values the importance of developing more ambitious emission targets because, for many of us, limiting global temperatures to 1.5 is a matter of survival. It is a necessity. Through a series of engagements and consultations, St. Kitts and Nevis has pledged to raise the bar. We pledge a significantly more ambitious mitigation target of reducing economy-wide CO2 emissions by 61% by 2030 compared to the base year 2010. This can be achieved by switching to 100% renewable energy in electricity generation and increasing the share of electric vehicles in the vehicle fleet to at least 2%.
Minister of Social Development and Gender Affairs, the Honourable Eugene Hamilton, said that the agreement between the Republic of China, Taiwan, and St. Kitts and Nevis for gender equality and the empowerment of women project is timely, especially at a time when COVID-19 continues to raise its ugly head. He thanked Taiwan's International Cooperation Development Fund, ICDF, for its generous commitment of US $2.1 million towards the success of the project.
Today marks the signing of an agreement between our two countries for the execution of a program of assistance and economic empowerment of women as a post-pandemic measure. We are here, and we are ravaged by the vicissitudes resulting from the pandemic. Families, especially single-parent families, exposed to hardship due to lockdowns and quarantine. Small businesses, especially those run by women, hair braiders, masseurs, child care technicians, etc., are all facing troubling times.
The project is a regional initiative that will be carried out in 9 countries within the Caribbean and Latin America that have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. These include St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Haiti, Belize, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Paraguay. MSR Media began production of its latest film, Christmas in the Caribbean, in St. Kitts, having already produced 3 films in the Twin Island Federation since they arrived. Minister of Entrepreneurship, Entertainment and Talent Development, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, welcomed the news and urged locals to seize on the array of benefits offered to creatives.
Your information will be kept in our database, and so whenever it is that there is filming being done, then MSR Media or whoever is doing filming in St. Kitts and Nevis would reach out to us at the ministry, and we can provide them with a plethora of persons to choose from to be extras. This is your opportunity to have an exposure into the international market that may not have been readily available before. We're trying our best in the ministry to make that available to you.
One such area was for supporting actors in the film. As such, all actors, actresses, and aspiring actresses were strongly encouraged to register with the Ministry of Entrepreneurship, Entertainment, and Talent Development, located at the National ICT Center. Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris expressed that the government was committed to strengthening the creative industry, with films being a major cog in the wheel. The exploration of a rebate system to provide incentives for studios to film in St. Kitts and Nevis was one measure being carefully considered. MSR Media is a boutique film and television production company based in York, England. St. Kitts and Nevis reaffirmed its standing as a leader in the global community by being the first independent territory in the Caribbean sub-region to achieve the World Health Organization's benchmark of having at least 40% of all countries' population vaccinated against COVID-19 by the end of 2021. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws highlighted this development at the October 27th COVID-19 briefing by the National Emergency Operations Center. She presented statistics from the October 26 vaccination report that showed that 72.1% of the adult population and 8.2% of the target population of children between 12 to 17 years were fully vaccinated against the deadly virus. In real terms, 22,227 persons were fully vaccinated as of October 26. Using figures from the last census, this represents 51.3% of the population. Dr. Laws indicated that the 40% benchmark set by the World Health Organization was achieved around late August or early September.
The Pan American Health Organization will be acknowledging the Federation's achievement by publishing an article on the Federation's strong leadership in the vaccine rollout. So actually this is a success story. St. Kitts and Nevis is the first independent territory in the Caribbean sub-region to cross this benchmark. And this article will have a global reach.
2 COVID-19 vaccines are currently being administered to individuals who volunteered to get vaccinated. These are the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, is proud of his government's track record of support to the Nevis Island administration over the last 6 years. Successive administrations, led by former Premier Vance Amory and current Premier the Honorable Mark Brantley, have publicly proclaimed that Nevis has had its best support from the federal government under Team Unity.
Our unity government is committed to a stronger and safer future for all our citizens and residents on the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have already created historic feats just in the short of 6 years. We are the first federal government to provide regular, periodic transfer of resources to the Nevis Island administration. Over the last 6 years plus, our budgetary transfers to the NIA have exceeded over $260 million.
Moreover, Prime Minister Harris noted that the Sugar Industry Diversification Fund, under the Team Unity government, has provided financial assistance to the NIA for the construction of the Treasury Building, the expansion of the Alexandra Hospital, and the developments at the Mondo Track. Citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis enjoyed 2 discounted VAT rate days on December 16th and December 18th. The announcement was made by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, during the November 10th sitting of the National Assembly.
I am pleased to announce that my government, in furtherance of our commitment to bring relief to the citizens and residents of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and after discussions with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, has established Thursday the 16th and Saturday the 18th December 2021 as the reduced VAT rate days. I repeat, after consultations with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce and the Financial Secretary, on behalf of the government, we have designated Thursday, the 16th December, and Saturday, the 18th December 2021, as the reduced VAT rate days. Consequent upon this decision, I have instructed the Accountant General to take the necessary measures to bring forward the date for the payment of salaries to all public officers in December, wages to all government auxiliary employees, and of course the monthly pension to all government pensioners. The date for the payment of the salaries, wages, and pensions for December has been brought forward to Wednesday, the 15th December 2021.
The St. Kitts Nevis and Gwilla National Bank recorded a historic profit for the financial year ending June 30th, 2021. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, shared the news with the nation in Parliament.
The bank would have declared one of the largest profits in its history, that is for the financial year ending the 30th of June 2021. And in that record, it is proposed that they will make a historic dividend payout to shareholders of about 20 cents per share. Such a significant development, Mr. Speaker, will assist the 5,642 shareholders in having a more enjoyable Christmas, and it will provide them some cash in advance of the popular reduced VAT rate days.
The amendments made to the Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, Cap 15.06, otherwise known as the Vehicles and Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2021, will provide additional safety and security to all citizens and residents, according to Attorney General the Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. The Attorney General made those comments while lending his support to the debate during the November 10th sitting of Parliament.
The bill is a very short bill, as he has explained, and it is intended to provide for the safety and security of all of our citizens, those who drive, use motor vehicles, as well as those pedestrians and others who use our roadways. As he has said, the bill is intended to ensure that what has become an increasing mischief on our roads, where individuals have taken upon themselves to cover the windscreens of their vehicles, to dark them out, so no one can see inside. It adds two problems. One, it lays to the drivers of those vehicles to put themselves at jeopardy, as well as those who other users of the road at night, in rain, and other ways, because the screen is so darkened that you do not always clearly see what is happening. And so it is a safety precaution that is being implemented with this very short, I dare say simple, but very important amendment to the Vehicles and Road Traffic Bill.
The Bureau of Standards Bill 2021, which was passed in the National Assembly on November 10, 2021, serves as a fundamental tool to improve the domestic standard of commodities in preparation for export to international markets. According to the Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, Minister of International Trade, Industry, Commerce, Consumer Affairs, and Labor.
The bill that is before us is actually meant to do two things. One, it is intended to replace an existing piece of legislation that would have been passed in 1999 as the National Bureau of Standards Act, Chapter 23.15, Act Number 7 of 1999. And the second purpose is to update our national legislation in terms of providing for the development and policing of a national standards and quality infrastructure in St. Kitts and Nevis, so that our people, the consumers of this federation, importers, wholesalers, retailers alike, can have the best quality when it comes to goods and services, practices and processes for which they will have to pay in order to enjoy the luxuries of same.
Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, extended deepest gratitude to tourism stakeholders and the general public as a whole, who helped St. Kitts and Nevis to achieve the 80% adult vaccination rate to protect against COVID-19. Minister Grant expressed the sentiment in an address.
We are proving that without a doubt, by acting with unity of purpose, that by adopting an all-of-society approach to tackling this virus, we have delivered remarkable results that are redounding to our collective benefit and safety as a people. A high vaccination rate increases the pace at which we can fully reopen our society and get back to enjoying the once simple pleasures of socializing with friends and family and attending events. It also increases visitor confidence in travel to destinations they deem safe.
Medical Chief of Staff at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, said that a large portion of persons who remain unvaccinated against COVID-19 in St. Kitts and Nevis are individuals between the ages of 18 and 40 years old. Dr. Wilkinson was at the time speaking at the Wednesday, November 10, 2021 NEOC COVID-19 press briefing.
Unfortunately, a significant proportion of the unvaccinated include our young, healthy adults between the ages of 18 and 40. Interestingly, this is the same segment of our society that wants to participate in contact sports, frequent the bars, have social gatherings without masks, and are looking to have carnival celebrations with little restrictions. Individuals continue to say that it's a personal choice whether or not to get vaccinated. However, a choice that does not only affect the individual making it should also be weighed against the effects it could have on others. Deciding whether to get vaccinated against COVID-19 is not a personal choice, and never was, because the consequences have always extended way beyond the individual.
St. Kitts and Nevis welcomed the new class of inductees to the 25th Most Remarkable Teens program during a special sitting of the National Assembly on Thursday, November 25th. The ceremony was held at the Rivers Living Water Christian Center to ensure adequate spacing in keeping with the current COVID-19 protocols. Proud family and friends joined with members of the Federal Parliament in celebrating the teens who were awarded in several categories, including excelling through challenges, leadership and volunteerism, commitment to positivity, sports, spirit of hope, academics, and more. Minister of Youth, the Honorable Joan L. Powell, saluted the contributions of the young people who have made an indelible impression in their respective communities.
The young people are powerful leaders of change. They care deeply about our country, understanding the issues we are facing, and know that we have to and can do much better. They serve their communities actively, participate in civic life, and advocate for a fairer, more diverse, and inclusive St. Kitts and Nevis. Over the past year and a half, they have shown incredible strength and determination and made great sacrifices to help keep our communities safe and healthy.
After 4 days of debates and presentations by parliamentarians in the National Assembly on the 2022 budget, the Appropriation 2022 Bill 2021 of over EC $952 million was unanimously passed on Monday, December 20th, 2021. The bill, which sets out the total estimates for the 2022 financial year, was passed following the wrap-up by the mover of the bill, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Presented under the theme, Investing in Our People, Putting St. Kitts and Nevis Back on Track, Prime Minister Harris stated that the 2022 budget not only had the strong support of his parliamentary colleagues, but also that of the majority of persons across the Federation.
Mr. Speaker, this budget address has been well received by the national community. It was really a people-centered budget that responded to the felt needs of our people, and it clearly met their expectations and aspirations. The 2022 budget is another tax-free budget put forward by our Team Unity administration. And more than that, it predicts a small surplus in 2022. At page 35, paragraph 81 of the budget address, there is a prediction that we shall realize an overall surplus of 4 million and a primary surplus of $21.8 million. For such a budget to be delivered at this challenging time, when governments all over the world are struggling to pay their bills, this is a welcome relief, and it speaks eloquently to our prudent fiscal management of our country and our hopes for a better new year.
The 2022 budget provides for the commencement and completion of a number of key projects and policy programs, including the start of construction on the Bastia High School, the completion of the Island Main Road Rehabilitation Program, the St. Peter's Health Center, and the Joseph N. France General Hospital Phase 3 project. The budget will also ensure the continuation of several social safety net programs, including the 500 monthly poverty alleviation program. Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, has said that the opening of the brand new National Security and Judicial Complex in Sandy Point symbolizes the Team Unity government's resolve and commitment to keeping its people safe. The National Security and Judicial Complex, located at Bouncing Hill, Sandy Point, was opened on Tuesday, December 21st, 2021.
Since the election of our Team Unity government in 2015, and even more so since 2020, one of our core priorities has been to keep our people, our community, our streets safe. That meant having regard to the inheritance of lawlessness, that we had to reduce crime, keep our people safe, enhance the quality of life of all people. And we are doing so today by the opening of this beautiful complex.
It houses the Sandy Point Police Station, the Fire and Rescue Services Unit, a Customs and Excise Outpost, and the Magistrates Court. 26 men and women graduated from the Police Training School on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021, officially signaling the start of their careers as members of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. The graduation ceremony was held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. It was attended by Governor General, His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, the Governor General's Deputy, Michael Morton, and other senior government officials. The course ran for 6 months, with the recruits completing various law enforcement subjects, as well as physical training, self-defense, foot and armed drills, and others. An introduction to Spanish course was included, the first time a foreign language formed part of the official training. Having graduated, the recruits are now full-fledged police officers. Commissioner of Police Hilroy Brandy told the graduates of course number 45 that the police force is a service-based profession.
Do not get carried away by the name of the organization, that is, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Your primary responsibility is to protect and serve the citizens and residents of this nation. Graduates, one of the major mistakes that you can make is to take action based on emotion. When emotionally triggered, you are likely to execute poor judgment and have poor self-control. Your action will have little long consequence to the citizens you serve, and there is no opportunity for a do-over. I further counsel you to treat victims with the utmost respect. Never allow a victim to be victimized a second time due to your poor police practices. Always strive to be the top of your game. Do not get complacent.
The new court annex at the Sir Lee L. Moore Judicial and Legal Complex officially opened on December 14th. The building bears the name of St. Kitts and Nevis's Governor General, a prominent lawyer who served as the first Attorney General after the Federation gained its independence in 1983. His Excellency, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, QC, JP, LLD. The new annex will house 3 different entities, namely a 3rd Magistrates Court Chamber in District A, a mediation center, and a new law library.
The opening of this new judicial and legal services building in this complex, it signals, it reinforces the commitment of the Government of National Unity, the Team Unity Administration, to pursue the highest levels in the administration of justice in our country. We expect that this new building and the services that it will provide greater access to justice for our people. It signals our commitment to the rule of law and our belief in the universal principles that the government and its officials and agents are accountable under the law, that the laws are clear, publicized, stable, fair, and protect fundamental rights, including the security of persons and property, that the process by which the laws are enacted, administered, enforced, is accessible, fair, and efficient, and that access to justice is provided by competent, independent, and ethical adjudicators, attorneys or representatives, and judicial officers who are sufficient in number, have adequate resources, and reflect the makeup of the communities they serve.
Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, the Honorable Vincent Byron, Jr. Activities for Sugar Mass 50 were a resounding success as officials from the St. Kitts and Nevis National Carnival Committee staged scaled-down events in order to mitigate against the spread of the COVID-19 virus. An innovative approach called Bubble Juve was implemented to replace the traditional street jam on Boxing Day. The event saw fully vaccinated patrons indulge in the revelry of the carnival season as they were entertained by some of the Federation's top bands and DJs. The theme for the event was Sugar Mass 50, Fun, Vibe, Energy. This has been the SKNIS Year in Review 2021. We wish you a successful 2022. I am Les Roy Williams. Take care.